6 p.m., June 10th, 1944. A train grinds to a halt inside Auschwitz for the first time, hours after departing from Budapest. The doors swing open and thousands of people pour out, clamoring and scanning their surroundings. Smoke hangs in the air, mixing with the sharp scent of pungent ash. Violent shouts from guards direct passengers to place their few possessions besides the tracks. Bags containing only the bare essentials and the most cherished possessions they could salvage from their homes. Standing on the tracks is Lukács. He's just 16 years old. With him is his father, Sandor. They are the last of their bloodline. A few days before, his family had lived in relative comfort. Lukács went to school. His father was a pharmacist, and they resided in a large apartment. Life was good. Yesterday, that all changed. Lukács and his father are filed into a fast-moving line with other men and teenagers. Next to them is another queue with young children, women, and the elderly. At the front, an SS doctor is inspecting the arrivals. Lukács has heard rumors of the atrocities committed by the Nazis, but never in his wildest dreams did he imagine seeing them firsthand. He is standing inside Auschwitz-Birkenau, but what he doesn't realize yet is the true scope of the operation. This complex, covering over 140 hectares, was built to imprison, exploit, and exterminate thousands of people. On the right of this was Auschwitz I, the original prisoner camp established in 1940. Initially used to hold the Polish resistance and political figures before it became overcrowded and Birkenau took over the responsibilities in 1942. It now serves as offices for the SS operating as the camp's administrative hub. Lukács and his father reach the front. This is no ordinary line. Life or death rests in the doctor's decision. A signal to the left spares them for forced labor. A signal to the right leads to the gas chambers. The doctor pauses and looks at them. Over 80% of the people sent to Auschwitz were murdered immediately at arrival. Just a minute ago, Tomas, who used to raise Lukács home from school, and Mrs. Kovac, the elderly neighbor who would bring them warm bread, was deemed unfit to work and sent to the right. The doctor signals left, and guards push them aside. Some may view this as fortunate, but they are unaware of the horrors that lie ahead. Lukács and the rest of the newly arrived prisoners are taken to the west end of the camp. Lukács enters the building, known as the sauna, and is immediately commanded to strip. He complies. Hair is shaved off his head, arms, and legs. A needle pierces his flesh. Finally, a number is stamped on his skin. In the next room, hundreds of men shower with ice-cold water. Within a matter of minutes, everything that once made Lukács special was stripped away. As Lukács is taken to the barracks, he passes the Kanata buildings. Here was a somber repository of belongings discarded by those who had just arrived, each item telling a story of hope and despair. 30 barracks housed the items of the thousands of daily arrivals. Inside, the buildings were filled with shelves stacked high. Workers were ordered to organize everything, sort it, and package it to be sent out to help the Nazi war efforts. Lukács is pushed into his new home, his father at his side. The room is cramped, packed with men and boys, all reduced to shadows of their former selves. Rows upon rows of wooden bunks stacked 3 high, each one barely wide enough for a man to lie flat. The air is thick, heavy with the stench of sweat, decay, and sickness. The floors are damp and caked with filth. The wooden walls are bare, offering little insulation. A single dim lamp swings from the ceiling, casting just enough light for Lukács and his father to claim a small space on a top bunk. On the hardwood, they fall asleep, unaware of the chaotic day that awaits them. They are currently located in the Jewish camp. Birkenau holds 300 wooden and brick barracks, divided by prisoner type. Women are housed in sectors B1A and B1B. While Romani prisoners are in sector B2E, other groups such as homosexual men, criminals, and Jehovah's Witnesses are also segregated. Each group wears a specific badge to indicate their identity. Lukács barely slept. He rises from his bunk. He gets the distinct impression that he needs to ready himself quickly. Everyone shuffles out of the barrack. The rain starts to come down, Lukács feels the cold seeping in. His body shivers as he stands in silence. Around him, shoulders sag under the weight of exhaustion. A man in the row ahead stumbles, collapsing face first into the mud. Not a single prisoner flinches. An SS guard notches something in his book. Time feels heavy for Lukács. Will anyone help him? He thinks. One of the guards barks an order. A prisoner in a similar uniform, but with an armband, hurries forward and without hesitation, grabs the body by the arms. The man is dragged away, leaving a smear of mud in his wake. Lukács knows it. He has just seen death for the first time. It's becoming clear that survival here depends on endurance, attracting little attention and not falling ill. Lukács is assigned to a work group at Auschwitz, and a troubling fear settles in. He doesn't know where his father is going, and deep down, he fears he may never see him again. As he walks with the others to his station, a strange melody begins to waft through the air. Lukács glances around, searching for the source of the music. He spots an orchestra. A group of women stands under a watchful gaze of a conductor, performing songs for the prisoners. Their voices rise in haunting harmonies, contrasting sharply with the grim surroundings. Before they leave his sight, he locks eyes with a young girl playing a flute. She gives him a smile. Lukács smiles back. As he arrives at his station, Lukács is shocked. Auschwitz is the third and final edition of Auschwitz, a huge factory complex. It primarily produced synthetic rubber and fuel, exploiting slave labor of the camp to support Germany's war efforts. This large industrial complex was dominated by tall brick chimneys emitting thick, black smoke. The factory buildings are massive, with barred windows that give them a prison-like appearance. For the next 6 hours, Lukács works to the bone. Any excuse will result in being shouted at, tormented, or beaten. His group is tasked with offloading and moving sacks full of heavy raw materials from a train cart onto a conveyor belt. As Lukács works, he loses himself in thought to distract his mind from the pain. He wonders why so few people knew of the Auschwitz operations. That's because the camp, being located in southern Poland, about 25 miles from the major city of Krakow, was no accident. Upon creation, it had already established railway connections, allowing the easy transportation of prisoners and supplies. Its proximity to populated areas allowed the camp to remain inhabited, while its relative isolation helped hide it from the world. His thoughts continue. Throughout the morning, 2 other prisoners collapse and are left to die. Unlike earlier, no one is there to take them away. As the clock strikes 12, the workers stop. It's time for food. Lukács has passed his ration of watery soup with rotten turnips and potato peels. While Lukács eats, he overhears 2 fellow prisoners discussing rumors about bizarre experiments taking place near the main hospital. Inside one of the rooms is Joseph Mengele, one of the most evil doctors the world has ever seen. Today's task involves working on twins, a particular obsession of his. A few days prior, he infected them with typhus to see how their genes affect their risk of getting sick. Now, he's checking on their progression. If one twin dies, the surviving sibling is killed to allow a side-by-side dissection. His mission is racial purity, and his experiments have no limits. Meanwhile, at Auschwitz, the day wears on. Lukács feels his legs growing heavier with each step. The work seems endless. Then it happens. He slows down just for a second. His grip on the material loosens, and a sharp crack echoes as it hits the ground. Without hesitation, a guard rushes over. His face is twisted with rage. Lukács barely has time to react before the blows rain down. The guard doesn't stop. To scream would only bring more punishment. Lukács is left crumpled in the dirt, grasping for air. He knows that if he stays down for too long, he will get dragged away. Lukács wishes his dad could be there to comfort him. Suddenly, a horrific thought comes to mind. What if he's dead? As Lukács limps back to his barracks, a group of guards walk in another direction. Their quarters are a very different world, sheltered from the horrors that surround them. This section of the camp is made up of over 30 buildings housing hundreds of SS guards. The barracks are made from brick and include multiple rooms, often equipped with basic furnishings such as beds, tables, and personal storage. The same officers torturing and murdering prisoners every day have access to amenities like proper sanitation facilities and heating. 7 p.m. Lukács is walking back into his barrack. Amongst the hundreds of prisoners there, he's using his remaining strength to see if his father is amongst them. Finally, near his bunk, he sees a man hunched over with blood on the floor. It's his dad. He hugs him, but his father is almost too weak to stand. He was assigned to work laying railway tracks, and during the day, someone tried to escape. They were shot and killed on the spot. Almost everyone else in the group was beaten badly, including his father. Lukács tells his father to stay put and rushes off to get food. On the northern side of the camp was a row of kitchen barracks. There was one or two for each section of the different population groups. Inside, prisoners are preparing dinner for the workers. Lukács arrives and manages to find 2 stale pieces of bread and a small sausage. He quickly hurries back. While his father recovered in his bunk, from the corner of his eye, Lukács noticed a small group of prisoners huddled together on the dirt floor. They were playing chess. The pieces were crudely fashioned from wood. The board itself was scratched into the dirt floor. Its lines uneven, but clear enough to follow. One of the men saw Lukács hovering over and invited him to join. For a few minutes, they weren't in Auschwitz. They weren't prisoners. They were chess players, strategists, tacticians. For the next few months, these were the only moments Lukács looked forward to. The summer of 1944 brought nearly 2 months of hell for Lukács and his father, as the Nazi war machine rapidly crumbled. In the east, Soviet forces were advancing, reclaiming nearly 100,000 square kilometers of territory. Time was running out for the Nazis, but it was also running out for Lukács and the thousands of other prisoners still trapped inside. 6 a.m., August 1st, 1944. Since their arrival inside nearly 2 months ago, Lukács and his father had faced a brutal life. Little food, no breaks, and constant beatings. Outside, reporting to their work assignment, Lukács realizes his father is barely conscious. Then, he hears a thump. A few meters away, his father collapsed into the mud and is not moving. Lukács paused for a moment, wondering how he could get him to the prisoners' hospital. Many prisoners suffered from tuberculosis, malaria, meningitis, and dysentery. Lukács' dad is suffering from the same fate as countless others: exhaustion mixed with starvation. This section of the camp consisted of over a dozen barracks in repulsive conditions. Camp doctors could not help many of their patients. They were also prisoners themselves. Even if he was transported to the hospital, the conditions were so squalid that the chances of survival would be extremely low. At night, rats would chew away at the legs of the sick, both those alive and dead. An SS guard approaches Lukács' father and screams at him to raise himself up. He musters whatever strength he has to shakily stand, but his fate is sealed. The guard gives one signal, and 2 other guards come to escort him away. He won't be heading to the hospital. Lukács' father is placed in a steady-moving line entering the crematorium building number 2 in the northwest of the camp, away from the prisoner barracks. These 4 structures are built with deceptive facades to prevent panic about the imminent fate. Inside, the room is bare and windowless, except for one unsettling feature: a series of tall, mesh-covered columns that stretch from floor to ceiling. These columns were the delivery system for Zyklon B, the cyanide-based pesticide used to murder prisoners in horrific numbers. Once the chamber is sealed, SS guards drop the gas pellets through these columns, releasing lethal fumes, filling the room within minutes. Each gas chamber was connected to an adjacent crematorium, where the bodies were immediately disposed of. At the peak of the Holocaust in 1944, the camp murdered somewhere between 3,000 to 5,000 people each day. On this day, that included Lukács' father. Between 1944 and January 1945, the Soviets got closer and closer to the German homeland. The SS began to abandon various concentration and labor camps it had built throughout the Eastern Front. In January of 1945, the Soviets entered Auschwitz. The troops see a few thousand prisoners, gaunt and starving. To them, it's liberation. But for Lukács, it was too little, too late. He was 250 miles away. Marching through the dead of winter along with 1,000 others, Lukács had managed to make it so far, but his body can't handle it any longer. He collapses on the side of the road, falling face first into the snow. A guard shouts at him to stand, but Lukács no longer has the strength. The last sound he hears is a rifle being cocked, followed by a shot that echoes through the cold air. Auschwitz operated from May 1940 to January 1945. It expanded from the original barracks at Auschwitz I to include Auschwitz-Birkenau and the slave worker factory of Auschwitz-Morowitz. Lukács and his father may be fictional, but they stand for the countless lives shattered by the Nazi regime and its supporters during their merciless terror across Europe. Of the 1.1 million people transported to Auschwitz, over 900,000 were murdered or worked to death shortly after arrival.